Miss Karen Brinkley is flying that aircraft for us today, folks. To the left of show center, she's in the downwind and she'll be coming back around. This is the black aircraft with the twin boom. Now, Ralph, I want to tell you, there's something very special about her aircraft. She calls it the Steel Tiger. This very airframe, ladies and gentlemen, saw combat time in Laos, in Cambodia, and in South Vietnam during the Vietnam conflict. This very airframe was part of what Ralph described a second ago in the forward air controller. So they would mark targets with white phosphorus rockets, they would do search and rescue spotting, they would help the fast movers come in and see that. We'll see some of that demonstration later. I don't want you to folks to see she now comes to your eyes, to your left. Karen Brinkley lives in North Texas. This is one of the most amazing, pristine examples of the nighttime mission of two Steel Tiger aircraft right here.
Formation to T6 is overhead, PT-15 right in front of us, and here comes Karen in the O2. This airplane is powered by two 360s, making about 180 horsepower apiece, so it's got a push-me pull-you configuration. It's a centerline thrust. It takes a special type rating to fly. Karen's got that. It was used extensively in Vietnam as the lead-in ship for the fastbacks.
Now, something really interesting about Karen and that airframe, Ralph. Karen has met 28 different veterans who flew that very airframe in Southeast Asia over the years, and she's got some of them to actually sign the aircraft inside the door. So very historic, and it's so cool that she's able to connect with the gentleman that actually flew it in combat.
That's great. T28s turning out on the south side. They were also used as a forward air controller. Twin Beach, training for World War II, multi-engine aircraft. Twin Beach is a multi-airplane. From this gas is now $6 a gallon, and it burns about 50 gallons.
We know what's cool about this one up above. We talked about the JRE. This one was painted in the Navy configuration as it existed in its early transport days. It was sort of a VIP transport in that configuration as well, Ralph.
It did. It was a gunnery trainer. It was a navigator trainer. You put four navigators in the back, and they all prepared solutions. A gunnery trainer, it had a turret. One example has a turret in the back. Multi-engine trainer we've already talked about. And an executive transport. On the ground, the first PT-15s. Tail-wheeled aircraft are difficult to fly in that if you lose the tail and the nose gets more than about 10 degrees out of line with the tail, they ground loose. It's an old saying that there's those that have and those that are going to.
And Ralph, here's another PT landing. And look here, he's held the tail wheel off as long as he could to let that airspeed bleed off. Helps with the control because the air keeps moving over the tail surfaces. And then one of the distinctive features when you see our 18-6s later, Ralph, is the cowling on the PTs. Different shape, different looks. So folks are wondering, no, they look similar. There is an easy way to tell them apart.
There is.
Look right here from the left, Ralph. Talk about the T28 Trojan.
T28, 1950s, became the Air Force and the Navy last training. And also carrier qualified. So every naval aviator had to qualify on the carrier before he went on to his next assignment. So the Air Force used the A models, the Navy used the D models. Minor differences, the B models had a hook, the A models did not. Twin Beams coming through, again, executive transport, gunnery, trainer, navigation trainer, pilot trainer. It's a multi-asset program.
Now, Ralph, we're talking about the Twin Beach today as a military warword, but the Twin Beach, the E-18 that you talked about, Beechcraft produced those for decades. In fact, they're known as cargo dogs in the aviation industry. And for many, many years, there's a lot of pilots walking around today still. They got their start hauling cargo and bag ships and started providing those ceremonies.
I know civil pilots who do that, and the Beach was the workhorse of the check haulers in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Well, you know, Ralph, there's a whole bunch of kids in the audience today. What is a check? I don't have a clue what that is. So if you're sitting around, somebody around you doesn't know what a a check is. Turn to somebody with a little bit of gray hair, they'll tell you what a check is.
Actually, ask your grandmother. Don't ask your mom. Ask your grandmother.
And we didn't have a way to do it electronically, so airplanes hauled the canceled checks that got used to pay for stuff back to the banks overnight, so it'd be there for the next business day, and the Beach Twin 18 played a huge role in that.
And they put in all kinds of, it's a very rugged airplane. The old Beach 18 had a nose gear modification to it, and we actually had one of those at the Lone Star Flight for several years. Used it just like T28 held 2.5, 3 hours worth of gas, flew at about 180 knots. A knot, we're talking about knots and miles per hour. A knot is about 15% more miles
So
per
we're
hour.
not talking about tying a piece of string together again.
No, we're not. We're talking
Okay,
about
all right.
speed.
Nautical miles. Aviation has a lot of history back to the maritime industry,
That's
right?
exactly that's what you call the captain of an airliner a captain, because the nautical captain of a boat.
And folks, as you see, every one of our performers after they land, they're going to taxi back in front of you along here on the front. Don't have the canopies open to engineer you. Cheer and tell them how long around you already have them here. Don't give us a personal look right here, Ralph.
PT-26, powered by an inverted six-cylinder engine. That engine is upside down in there. And,
Man, we got the best fans anywhere, Ralph. You know that? Milton Houston has the best crowd you see in any airshow anywhere.
you're correct on that, my friend. The PT-26 driver is being beautiful. We want to
You'll have to catch Ralph Royce and Mike Mark later, and they'll explain to you what that's about.
All right, we've still got one T6 solo in the air. We've got a 4-ship to the right. Big Beach in the downwind. We've got the O2. She'll be circling around from the downwind.
Watch here, Ralph. This will be a really good opportunity to see Karen's dark airplane. You talked about the extra windows on the side of the aircraft. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. As she makes that turn, you can see the twin engine. Ralph talked about it. It's a push-pull configuration. There's one in the front and one in the back between those twin boots.
Here's the interesting thing. The one in the back is more efficient than the one in the front. I don't know why, because that's what they tell me. And if you're going to lose an engine, you want to lose the front one, because the back one is more efficient.
Well, there you go. Those folks that can do math have figured all that out.
Man, that's like numbers and stuff.
I think so. Yes, sir.
On the rollout is T28 on base.
You know, Ralph, I heard something interesting about that pan camouflage T28. That aircraft actually served in connection to the French Air Force of some of the countries in Africa that were connected to the French. And it actually has combat time associated with it. I think it's Chad, and maybe some of the French companies there. Might know exactly which one, but it actually combat time on that aircraft just